being called a hero in your community and having all these businesses, teachers, colleagues, friends, and family support you, how has that been like?
When people call me like a hero and all of these statements, it really energizes me to make sure I do even better next time. I got into the running scene kind of on accident. So my friend Paulo, he's the one that introduced me to running. And he's like, hey, dude, let's do a half marathon. And I was like, fuck out of here, dude. Like, I'm not gonna do it. So he sends me the link and everything, and I was just like, how long is that? And I was like, 13 miles, dude? This is crazy. I didn't run, that's not me. On this runner's high. I'm like super motivated. So my very first video on my YouTube channel is my wife cutting my hair because I needed a haircut. And she didn't know how to do it, and so she was like trying to line me up, and she did okay. But we posted it, to like Facebook and everything. Like, hey guys, like Vanessa's cutting my hair, and people liked it. They're like, dude, keep this going. And I was like, I don't know what else. I'm not gonna have her cut my hair every week. I'm not gonna record that. And so I started doing virtual runs, and I would record them and put them on my YouTube channel. And then from there, like the companies that I started working with, they were like, hey, we like your videos. Here's some more content. Here's some more stuff with running or with 5Ks and 10Ks or whatever distance you're talking about. I think there's a stigma that you need to be this superstar athlete to get out there and do a 5K and 10K, and I want to kind of debunk that idea.
So when did you find out that you wanted to pursue on the career of becoming a teacher?
A lady named Tama Brisbane, she was the one that hooked me up with all my like poetry stuff, connected me to Delta Sierra Middle School, and the kids, and I was talking to them, they said science was boring, and I was like, how is science boring? What are you talking about? Like, I feel like that's the most engaged subject matter. No, we just do worksheets. I was like, nah, I think that's gotta be cap for sure. So I stepped into the classroom and I saw it, and surely enough, they were just doing worksheets, and I was like, dang, that's not the way I learned science. Is this the new way? I was like, all right, I gotta change this. And they're like, you should be our science teacher. And I was like, nah. They're like, yeah. There was an opening. My principal came to me and, he was talking about how there's an opening for teaching. And I was like, what subject? He said, science. And I was like, challenge accepted. Science is complicated because like the whole idea of like evolution, is beliefs, and that becomes a thing. And I personally feel like they both can exist. It was just down in the dumps and everything. I talked to my colleagues. They're down in the dumps. And I was like, let's just get outside and just do something, together. So I created a run. If I really wanted to just break even, I just needed 20 people to sign up, right? Okay. That's 20 people would make me break even. Mm-hmm. And so I went to bed and I woke up, I had 24 signups. And I was like, cool, broke even. That's all I really wanted. And then as the days going on, my emails just ding, ding, ding. Gmail's just showing up on my iPhone. And I bumped up to like 36. And then KCRA calls, and then ABC 10 calls. And from there, it just keeps going up, 40, 50, 60, 70.
What's been your biggest like obstacle or struggles being out on YouTube?
I would say flat out comparing yourself. I think that is probably,
that's a good one.
It is the most damaging thing you could possibly do.
What's up, Raza? Welcome back to the Valley Vibes podcast. I'm your host, Roman. Today's episode, we got Mr. Stowers, Mr. S. Stowers does it all. I wonder what his students call him. I should have probably asked them. But anyways, I got my first teacher coming into the pod, and it was really cool. I had no idea how hard it is to become a teacher, all these like hurdles and tests, and which are actually pretty good because you don't want just anybody teaching our youth, teaching our kids. So that was kind of cool to know like the in-depth or behind the scenes. And he was talking another language when he was giving all like the context and stuff. I was like, what? But I guess if you want to be a teacher, go for it, because I know you're doing it for the kids and not for the money, because teachers don't get paid enough. But shout out to all the teachers and anybody that works with our future generations. And he's definitely not a teacher I had in my school, which I mean, like he's really cool. Like, he engages a lot with the students. He cares about his class. He's also very popular around the community, which is cool because he's very involved. By that, I mean, he hosts a lot of 5K, 10K, these runs, Talk with the Town, Santa Dash, High Five for Teacher. It all started with COVID. It was with a good cause. He's done a marathon around the 209. It's a really cool video. Highly recommend. Check out that video, please. Very underrated. And yeah, he's been featured in news, radio station, all these other local outlets. And he's very humbled. He the way he carries himself. I personally got to attend his latest Taco the Town this year, 2023. It was so much fun, such a cool experience. So many vendors, the environment, the vibe, the music, the run. Thank you for letting me be a part of it, man. It was really cool to just be out and like be one with the community, you know, because I feel like we're so used to our screens and our phones, which I understand it's today's norm. But if you ever get a chance to participate in a walk, run, you don't got to be fast. You don't even got to race. It's something just like get outdoors and do something, you know, bring a friend, take your partner. I took my my girlfriend and my dog, and it was so chill, so cool. And I got it was my first one ever, 10K. So now I have a record for the next one, which I plan to do in Thanksgiving. So yeah, but anyways, enough rambling. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Mr. Stowers. Stowers does it all. Follow him on YouTube and all his other social media platforms. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this one. Peace. Pa arriba, pa abajo, pa el centro, pa el dentro.
Yeah, there we go. Starting off strong.
Starting off strong, and Mr. Mr. Stowers in the building.
That's right.
Bienvenido, bro.
Gracias, man.
For the people that are watching, featured on ABC 10 News, K1 Radio, Good Day Sacramento, has participated in multiple 5Ks, 10Ks, marathons, up and down the Central Valley, High Five for Teachers, Santa Dash, Turkey Trot, and Taco the Town. Man, and also, not to forget, your YouTube channel with over 1,000 subscribers, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man. What a track record, bro. And I feel like you're only getting started.
It's weird because I feel like in the process of building who you want to be, like on any social media, you go through a lot of stuff where you're just like, well, that didn't work. And I figured out what I want to do now. Mm-hmm. And when I first got into it, people were like, I don't think there's like a running YouTube channel, like, or there's like channels where they like, if you want to become a better runner, this is how you do it. And I was like, I don't want to do that though. Like, that's not what I want. Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, it's hard to find something if it doesn't exist. And I was like, well, I'll just make it. So I was running and recording myself, and now that's a thing, you know?
Yeah. And it's like a vlog, run. And real quick, I got to tell the people, it's very underrated, and I'm just jumping right into it. You have a video called I Ran 26.2 miles to 26 plus small businesses, Stockton, California, man. That video, I loved it from start to finish. You showcased all the businesses. You showcased your mile, stop to stop, the water breaks, the edit. Bro, your video is underrated. Go watch that, people. Go watch that. That was my personal favorite of yours.
Thank you. And I kid you not, that of all the videos I've ever made, this includes like wedding videos.
Yes.
That probably took me the longest time.
No, I could tell. You highlighted all the businesses and even the people.
It was, so the run itself was hard because I had never done a marathon. It was my very first one ever.
That was your first one?
Very first one. And it was during COVID. So I got into the whole running scene. I know, right? Oh shit. So I got into the running scene. Just some backstory. I don't know if I'm jumping the gun or not.
No. Let's talk about it. Tell me about it.
So let's talk about it. I got into the running scene kind of on accident. So my friend Paulo, he's the one that introduced me to running. It was like, I don't know, like July 2019. Mm-hmm. And he's like, hey dude, let's do a half marathon. And I was like, fuck out of here, dude. Like, we're not gonna do a half marathon.
Is it because you guys exercise normally, or you guys just never did that?
We hadn't done anything since like high school. So I was like, nah, dude, this is not our thing, bro. Like, I'm not gonna do a half marathon. He's like, come on, dude, let's just do it. And so I was just trying to shut him up. I was like, all right, fine. Like, I'll sign up tomorrow. And he's like, all right. So we go to sleep, whatever. I wake up and he sends me a receipt, and he's like, to sign up. And he's like, did you sign up yet? And I was like, well, shit, he just signed up. How much is it? Like, where do I gotta go? So he sends me the link and everything, and I was just like, how long is that? And I was like, 13 miles, dude? This is crazy. I didn't run, that's not me. So I was like, all right, well, I signed up, and I was like, how long does it even take to like prepare for a half marathon? And he's like, I can't remember. I think it was like 3 months, but pretty much we had to start like next week.
Yes.
And I was like, so I ran my first like run since like high school. I did like a mile, and I was like, so I was like, this isn't gonna work. This isn't gonna work, man. So I kept trying at it. Eventually got to where I could do 2 miles without dying, and then like 4 miles, and then eventually 8 miles without stopping. And I felt accomplished, but I was like, I think we'll be okay because we're already running out of time. I think we'll be okay by the time San Francisco happens. So it's the Golden Gate Half Marathon, November 2019. And we have to wake up super early because the run starts at like 7 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and you got to make sure you get there to get parking, and it's like cold outside. You got people that are coming from out of the country, and there's going to be like 4,000, 5,000.
It's an annual run, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's an annual run. It's huge. You go across the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. So they shut down the whole bridge for that.
Well, they don't shut down the bridge, but you're running on like, there's like a sidewalk.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And so we have to wake up. I can't remember. We left Stockton at like 2, maybe 3 o'clock in the morning or something like that. We're eating we're eating bananas and stuff in the car, and like we stop at like Starbucks or something, and like try to go pee, and then like we get there. It's super cold. It's November. It's San Francisco. We're freezing outside. We don't know how to dress because obviously you get hot on a run, but like it's cold. So we get there, and I'll never forget like the moment when I really felt like, dude, this is sick. So we're waiting for us to get started. And all the runners that are like super pros, they're like stretching and stuff. There's like run groups that are like huddled together, like ooh. And there's like this person had 13.1 like shaved into their hair. I know, and like it was like crazy. Like I was like, dude, this is a whole scene. You know? I just signed up. You know, I didn't know. And the DJ is getting like, it's like, all right, are you guys ready? Yeah,
hyping people
like,
up.
Fuck yeah, I'm ready. So I'm like super stoked. And totally unprepared, like physically. Right? Yeah. So Golden Gate Half Marathon starts off downhill, right? So it's really deceiving because you're like flying. You're like, yeah, all this training paid off. And you're going downhill. You end up on like the stretch. And I'm like, oh, look, the Golden Gate Bridge. We're going to be going over that. And then I realized like, I'm looking up. How do we get up there?
Incline.
You got to go up this incline to get up to the bridge. That was like mile 3. It's like straight incline. Palo gas is out. So I'm like, fuck, this isn't good.
Oh, you guys are running side by side?
We're running together, yeah. And so he's gassing out. And I'm like, dude. So we're trying to get up this hill. We get up the hill, and the whole time we're just dying, like just the whole time. And I think we finished it finally. We were like pushing each other. It took us like almost 3 hours to do it. And I was like, at the end, I felt accomplished, right? Because they put the medal around your neck and everything. They give you the whole experience. You're eating bananas. And at the end, there's like a whole beer festival. Everyone can like, and chill and drink beer. And after that, we went and got like sushi or something. We sat down, kind of, we had to like, barely sat down.
Yep.
And he's like, dude, are you going to do this again? And I was like, are you? He's like, I don't think so. And I was like, I think I like it, dude. I think this is what I want to do. And he's just like, all right. He's like, well, I think he's like, I don't know. And so I told myself, I was like, all right, 2020 is going to be my year that I'm going to sign up for every single run possible. And then COVID hits. So everything's shut. I know, dude. It was
right when you wanted to get started.
Dude, it was such a downfall, man. So like March, obviously everything closes. And I'm super upset because like I'm like on this runner's high. I'm like super motivated. So my very first video on my YouTube channel is my wife cutting my hair because I needed a haircut. And she didn't know how to do it, and so she was like trying to line me up, and she did okay. But we posted it, to like Facebook and everything. Like, hey guys, like Vanessa's cutting my hair, and people liked it. They're like, dude, keep this going. And I was like, I don't know what else. I'm not gonna have her cut my hair every week, I'm not gonna record that. So I still was excited about the running, and I saw this thing called Medal Dash. It was a virtual running thing.
Virtual running thing.
Yeah, so they send you the shirt, they send you the medal, they send you like the race bib and everything ahead of time, and you just run it and send pictures to the company that says, hey, I did the run. And I was like, all right, I feel like that'll be, it's something,
Interesting.
like something that I can do. So virtual runs took off during COVID. Like that was the thing.
Really?
Even like major runs were hey, we can't do this in person because everything's shut down, but you can sign up virtually. And so I started doing virtual runs, and I would record them and put them on my YouTube channel. And then from there, like the companies that I started working with, they were like, hey, we like your videos. Here's some more content. Here's some more stuff. And so people would send me stuff, or people were like, hey, run in our shirt. Hey, I saw that you ran in these shoes. See how these shoes are. And so I was getting like people reaching out to me, and like I only have like 100 subscribers at this point, and it's like I'm not like anybody big. It's like my mom, my brother, my cousin.
As we all start.
Yeah, we all start out. And so it was kind of cool that like people were sending me stuff. And so I just started running and showcasing. And from there, I just started like looking into like, okay, well, I want my camera quality to look like this. Like, how do I make it look like this? So I started researching camera quality, and I got a better camera. Then I realized like I have like weird static in the background of all my audio, and I was like, what is that? So I started researching. Oh, I need a better microphone. So I got a better microphone, and then as you know, like it's just the whole setup. You know, it's you start to build what you want in your content, and I made it very specific. I wanted it to be different than the other running communities out there that. There's nothing against them, you know, but they're just very formal. Like they'll post, this is how you get better. You need to make sure you do this stretch before you run. Plantar fasciitis is this, da 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 da. I wanted to talk about those things, but I wanted to do it in my way. So my whole thing is like, I feel like everything can be fun and goofy, and it doesn't always have to be so serious. You know, like that was my whole take. So from there, I just started making videos that were just goofy and funny, and so then the subscribers came, and here we are.
I love that, and I have to say you are really becoming one of my favorite YouTubers. And I'm not just saying that because you're here, but your content, I can tell, maybe because also I create content, I can tell the effort that goes in these little edits, these little transitions. Because the average Joe, I don't think they're gonna understand, but yeah, I see the work that goes behind it, and also the comedy.
Yeah,
I like your jokes. I like your effects. Like, it's very entertaining to watch. And by education, when you're saying your research education, is it just YouTube tutorials?
YouTube tutorials.
No, because I want to tell people, like, when they ask you how'd you learn, I'm like, I literally say YouTube tutorials.
Yeah,
like it's not like we're here like book after book.
No, I just like the thing of the past. I was just talking to another teacher about how like it's crazy how technology has become so accessible to us, where we don't have to go. Like, I remember watching, what movie was it? Breakfast Club. They're in the library. And they're learning in the library. I haven't been to the library in ages because there's my phone is a library. I have all that stuff at my fingertips all the time. And it's crazy cool, but at the same time, I kind of miss, you know, having like that setting. But we don't have to have that access anymore. We just have phones. Yes.
One thing I want to point out that I really like that you're running, and actually even bringing up the library, is I feel... with Taco the Town, this is the event coming up in September.
Yeah, September 2nd.
September 2nd. One thing I really like about that run and all these runs that we're going to get into is I feel like you're bringing back human interaction.
Yeah.
Even though the virtual runs had their time and place, I like that this one. Is it virtual too, or can people participate from out of here?
They can participate virtually if you really want to. But I try to bring it back together because my whole running journey thing, it started with me also offering virtual runs because I didn't want anybody to feel uncomfortable about running together. And then now it's evolved into, you know, in-person runs.
And your first one was really successful, but you all come for the same purpose. I love that. And there's nothing more important than like our health.
Right.
Because I think it all starts with your health, then everything else matters. But running is good. Why? And then you also encourage people that walk. I saw in your videos, you even say, if you're in a wheelchair, come out.
Oh, yeah.
Just get some sunlight.
Yeah, just get out there, man. I feel like with running or with 5Ks and 10Ks or whatever distance you're talking about, I think there's a stigma that you need to be this superstar athlete to get out there and do a 5K and 10K, you know? And I want to kind of debunk that idea. You don't have to be super fast, you know? In fact, like, I'm not the fastest guy in the running scene. I just like to go and run. And if it's a 5K and I have a goal for myself, that's my personal goal. And that's what I want to do. But if someone else wants to come out and like knock out a 5K, like the high five for teachers I just did, this random guy didn't even sign up. He just came to the park, ran it. Yeah, totally just crashed the whole thing. He finished it in like 15 minutes and I think 46 seconds or something like that. Yeah. Didn't even sign up, you know, 3.1 miles in 15, almost 16 minutes. That's bananas.
That's a 5-minute mile pace.
Yeah, dude, that's
fast. That's fast.
That's hella fast.
Yep.
And so my 5K is like my best as ever. It was like, I think 20 minutes and something like that. So, and that was me. I was like dying after. This guy was just cool as a cucumber. Like, yo, thanks. No, I didn't even sign up.
Another Sunday.
Yeah. But like, you don't have to be that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
You can be anybody that you want to be. And we have runners and walkers that sign up all the time. And sometimes people finish in 16 minutes. Sometimes they finish their 5K in like 30, 40, 50, 60 minutes. It doesn't matter. Just get out there and do it. You'll still have tacos at the end of the Taco of the Town and all this stuff. Everything will still be there waiting for you. We're not going to close it because you're taking too long. I feel like people feel like they don't want to come out because it's embarrassing. Just show up.
That's the one thing that got my attention. The tacos.
I feel like that gets everyone's attention.
So that's the unique thing. This is why also I love that we're here. Is so there's tacos at the end of the run.
Yeah. To mention, in addition to the taco, you also get free beer. So I'm saying, like, tacos,
win-win.
It's the perfect couple, man.
I love it. And I want to tell you, man, I already asked for that day off.
Hey, there you go.
I had to go, man. Like, come on, man.
Hey.
I did cross country growing up.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did cross country.
Oh,
I know I don't
nice.
look like it no more. That was like 50 pounds ago. But in high school, sophomore, junior, and senior year,
Yeah.
cross country.
Yeah.
But I was never the fastest.
Right.
I was for fun, and there's just to me, it's a lot of people. It's a love hate. It's either you love running or you hate running.
Right.
I love it. It's like me and my thoughts.
Exactly.
Me and my music.
Yep.
I think that's when I brainstorm the best.
Yeah.
I
feel like, because I didn't do cross country when I was in high school.
Yeah.
I did none of that. I did wrestling.
for 2 years at Cesar Chavez, right?
Yeah. 2 years Cesar Chavez was like the craziest, like, nostalgia. Right? Nostalgia.
Mr. Stowers.
Yeah.
What type of student were you in high school?
So,
Let's bring it all back.
high school, man. I feel like the best description would be, I've been told I was the popular guy, but I don't feel like I was. I just feel like I knew a lot of people because I was in a bunch of different circles. Okay.
Circles such as?
I was a social guy. So I was a theater nerd. Okay. There's the first circle. There was the wrestling group, which was like kind of the athletic circle, if you will. And then I hung out with different groups. Like I had like my black friends. I had like Cesar Chavez was really big on Latin culture. So
Yes.
I had like my really close group of like Mexican. We had Honduran friends and somebody from Salvador. So we had that group. And then Chavez, if you went to Chavez, you knew that there was a huge Polynesian culture over there. So those that were coming from Tonga, we had our Filipino group. We had those from who am I forgetting? Tonga, Samoa. So that whole group, like, I just loved culture, you know. So
Love that.
It was a huge culture school, and I think the thing that made Chavez so incredibly different as a school experience growing up was there was just so many cultures, and I wanted to be a part of all of it. So I was a part of all these different like cliques. So people knew me, but like I wasn't like, you know, like, I was like the TV show. I don't think that was it. I just talk to everybody because I don't mind talking to random people.
That's awesome. And as far as the grades, were you a C, F, A? What kind of student were you?
Well, I think I graduated with like a 3.5, but a lot of that is attributed to retaking classes, but also I did try hard on like tests. Like I was really good test taker. And to this day, like I'm a really good test taker.
That's good.
I was a terrible student when it came to homework. Like, and that's why I'm more lenient with my kids on homework when it comes to like my students.
The cap.
That was for your students. I got you guys.
I was a terrible student when it came to homework, man.
Yeah.
And like I still am. Like I'm just not a homework guy. Like I just get too distracted. But yeah, somehow I pulled through with 3.5. I don't know. To this day, if
That's
my
really
teachers
good.
can vouch for me, back it up.
Yeah.
I don't know who passed me. I don't know. That was my backstory.
And graduating high school,
Yeah.
did you know right away you wanted to be I was gonna say college. I mean a high school. No, you're a middle school teacher.
Yeah. Hell no. So I had no aspirations whatsoever. If you can go back in time and talk to me in middle school, I wanted to be like an actor. I think that was like my main thing on my list.
Like Broadway type of thing.
Like Broadway, TV, whatever. I just wanted to be in front of the camera.
Oh,
and,
so
like,
you love this.
yeah, I just like
And
this
it's
is my thing.
natural to you?
It feels good. Like I'm a conversationalist. I'm very extrovert, and I just like talking to random people. Like in the store, I'll just talk to people. Oh, have you bought those chips before? Like I had them. They're pretty good. How many calories is that? So like that's just me. I'm just a chit chat.
That come from your childhood, or it's very rare.
Yeah, well-
most people like are very shy or don't like confrontation of any kind.
Yeah. Well, it's weird because my wife is like an ambivert, right? Which is like you're a little bit of both. I'm very much the extrovert. So I realized in like being with her that a lot of my extrovert tendencies sometimes are completely opposite to what she wants or feels or is doing. So I feel like it's natural, and ever since I've seen videos of me when I was a kid. I was just a hyper kid, like all day long. And what's cool is my mom gave me like a mental space to be that hyper kid. I had a lot of questions all day long, and I was just like bothering people, like, well, what does this do? How does that mean? What's the definition for that? What's the opposite of that? Well, I just had questions all day, and she gave me the space to be that inquisitive little dude, and I thank her. I feel like that really, because it's easy to be like, oh my gosh, stop talking, like shut up, whatever, and which happens a lot, especially in Black culture. Like, he's asking too many questions. This is grown folks talk. Go over here, So I feel like she gave me a good space to be that person, and now I'm just like a chatterbox, and because of my mom, I won't shut up. So
I just gotta say, shout out to mom.
Hey, good one. Yeah, mom.
No, that's amazing, because it's a skill that not many people have. But I feel like if you do have it, if you do have the confidence, if you're good with talking to people, that's going to take you a long way.
Yeah.
Because many people, it's one thing to text somebody, but if you can extend out your hand, introduce yourself, present yourself well in the room, that's going to do a lot better than, hey man, I slid in your DMs.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of my successful partnerships and relationships are just because I don't know. I'm not afraid to talk to someone. Like, even when I reached out to you, I was like, hey, let's do the podcast. Just because I just like talking to people. And if someone says like, heck no, get out of here, and be like, all right, fine, on to the next.
Yeah. I think people are scared of rejection. That's another reason why like it stops them from trying to like reach out or talk. But thank you for reaching out, man. Because of you, we're here having a good time.
Hey, no problem, dude. Like, and thank you for bringing me onto the show. Like, the setup is like flaw. You need to step in here, camera, and just like come over here and just see like this whole setup. I'm like blown away. This is really great.
I appreciate that.
By the way, loving the Snorlax pillow. That's tight.
That's my spirit animal.
Yeah.
That's what I tell everybody.
Just eat snacks and sleep, man.
I wish.
That's a good life.
So when did you find out that you wanted to pursue on the career of becoming a teacher?
So I was working in the after school programs. That was my first job. When I turned 18, this is when I did HBO for a little bit. And when I came back, I realized I needed to like make money, and like, what's the next step? You need a job. So yeah, for sure. Cha-ching. And from there, a lady named Tama Brisbane, she was the one that hooked me up with all my like poetry stuff, connected me to Delta Sierra Middle School through a program called the Boys and Girls Club.
Okay.
Through the Boys and Girls Club.
Yes.
So Boys and Girls Clubs where I started at Delta Sierra. And the kids, and I was talking to them, they said science was boring. And I was like, how is science boring? What are you talking about? Like, I feel like that's the most engaged subject matter.
You're opening up toads.
Yeah, you're cutting stuff open, you're blowing stuff up,
chemicals,
like, mixing things together, like accidentally form the Powerpuff Girls or whatever. Like,
yes.
All that stuff is like, that's science. Like, what do you mean? And they're like, no, we just do worksheets. And I was like, nah, I think that's gotta be cap for sure. So I stepped into the classroom and I saw it, and surely enough, they were just doing worksheets. And I was like, dang, that's not the way I learned science. Is this the new way? And I was like, all right, I got to change this. And they're like, you should be our science teacher. And I was like, nah. They're like, yeah. And so the
kids are telling you this.
Yeah. And so there was an opening. My principal came to me and, he was talking about how there's an opening for teaching. And I was like, what subject? He said science. And I was like, challenge accepted. So hence I just looked into it, needed a bachelor's and all my credential and stuff, which in retrospect, it's actually a lot of stuff you need to become a teacher.
Yeah. I was going to ask, like, what are if you could kind of dumb it down, like how many years of college or what do you need? The BA? Isn't that like 4 years?
Yeah, BA is 4 years. So that's the first thing. They won't even see you without that. And then you're going to need a CSET, which is let's backtrack. So you need your BA, and you need the CBEST, which is the basic education test that you need for like all the subjects.
Okay.
And then from there, you need your CSET, which is the subject specific test. So since I'm doing science, you need to choose which science. So I chose biology, and there's like a question, there's a bunch of questions on this test. You have a time frame, and they're watching you while you take the test. And there's 3 subtests in there. You need to pass all of them with a score of 220. If you get a 219, it doesn't matter. So I actually got, on my first time that I took it, I failed. I got a 219, a 219, and a 218. And so I called them. I was like, you guys really aren't going to take me? They're like, no. I was like, wow, dude, that sucks. So that's the CSET. Then you need to also make sure that you are getting your TPA Cycle 1, TPA Cycle 2. You need to...
What is that?
Teacher Performance Assessment.
Is that like more like a psychology type of thing?
It's like a 42-page article or thing that you're essay that you're typing up, which relates to like how well do you know this student? What would you do in this scenario?
Kind of like a job interview and putting you in scenarios.
Well, kind of. You need to record yourself also teaching, and then show like this is me interacting with student A, showing them that I understand that when a student is in need of these things, there's these accommodations, and this is how you scaffold it. It's actually very fucking complicated.
Wow,
to become a teacher. There's a lot of steps in there, and if you don't fail this, and if the deadline comes by this time, then you don't make it into this, and then once you are a teacher, there's like acronyms for days that you need to memorize. Like you just need to know, like, oh, this student has an IEP, and this student has a 504, and you need to make sure that you're using UDL to support them any way that you can. And then once you have your UDLs, make sure that for science you're using the NGSS standards to incorporate your SELs. And
you're speaking in a whole nother language to me.
That's what these are all acronyms. I'm just listening to like WTF, man. Like there's just all these acronyms, dude. It's a crazy world, and I feel like everyone knows teachers don't get paid enough, right? That's the thing. But on top of that, I feel like, yeah, we don't get paid enough, but there's a lot of stuff that you need to do to become a teacher. So when you see a teacher in a classroom that's like fully credentialed, they went through a lot of shit to get there and get shit. You know?
and no wonder they stay there because I'm talking about my teachers. Right. They've always told me been here for 20 plus years, 30 plus years. Because when you go through that many holes, you're like,
dude, it's a lot of stuff to jump through. So. And you're spending money on all this stuff too. To top it all
I was about to ask, like, you gotta. It's like the DMV. You gotta pay to take these tests.
Everything, yeah. The CSET is $300, and so when I didn't pass it the first time, I got to take it again. It's another $300. So it racks up.
Yeah, 100%. Real quick, just shout out to all the teachers, anybody that works with kids, the education system, principals, staff members, cafeteria, janitors, all you guys, man. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
For sure, man.
Y'all are much needed, and y'all are much necessary. And from like, if you can kind of give me a time frame, was it 6 months, a year from like the job offer to like you actually being in a classroom?
So it's all like a blur. There's so much. So I got offered the position, I want to say like 2015. But he told me like it was like 2016.
Yes.
He's like, you need to get into the intern program so that way you can get started. Because there's like 2 main ways you can get into the teaching. There's like actually like 3, but it's like 2.
Yes.
Either you can get your credential, which is out of all those acronyms, I totally forgot. You need your teacher credential. You can get your credential by just going to school and getting your credential that way, like going through Sac State or whoever, and that's usually about a year.
Okay.
Or you can go through an intern program where you're getting paid as a teacher less than a normal teacher would, but you're able to start teaching right away. And they're teaching you at night before, and then you come to school as a teacher and teach what they just taught you.
Yes.
That takes longer though, so it's like a 2-year program.
Oh,
so,
I see.
So you can do the 1 year, but it's like you can't go into the classroom until you're done, or you can do the 2-year and you're teaching right away.
Which one did you go with?
I did the 2-year because it made more sense because
at least you're getting paid.
You're getting paid, yes, you know. And then so from there the intern program rolls over, but it's actually longer than 2 years. It's like 3 because there's like 1 year where you're learning just the basics, like this is a curriculum, this is what a 504 and an IEP is. These are students with special needs. This is an English learning student. This is how you accommodate a student that is learning English versus a student that is redesignated, which means that they've gone through all of the stuff too. Like they know English well enough to be in a classroom like a standard student.
Yes.
But we still have support for them. So there's like learning all those different terms. That's like the first year. That's called the Impact Program. And this is all through the TCSJ, Teachers College of San Joaquin. Shout out to them. All those educators out there who are actually teachers at Teachers College, man, I appreciate you guys so much.
Hell yeah.
So that's the first step. And then from there, then they start getting subject specific. So if you want to become a science teacher, these are the classes that you got to know. Those are like the last 2 years. And then that's when you do that TPA thing I was telling you about, the teacher performance assessment. There's 2 cycles of that. And they're just really long, drawn out papers that I might get flack for this, but I feel like it's a sorting mechanism. Yes. So if you can complete it, you can become a teacher. But I feel like there's people that are definitely capable of teaching, and that teacher's performance assessment is not a good reflection sometimes of like if you're able to teach, right? Because I feel like I did okay on the TPA, on the teacher's performance, but there's people that do outstanding on those things, but I don't think that you're going to be the greatest teacher. No offense to them. It's just, I think that people come into it with different intentions, you know? If you're coming from like a whole lab setting, like you're a professor, you're very educated, you have a doctorate and everything, you may not be a good teacher per se, you know, for like younger kids, maybe for a different setting, or like you may be a good professor at some other college, but like all that lab science work that you just had doesn't always translate into a classroom. Likewise, if you just did like a bunch of legislation for the state of California, you were working high up, and you know, obviously tax and all that doesn't always translate well into like a history classroom,
right?
You know, so all of those things, you could be an outstanding athlete, doesn't mean you're going to teach PE great. So there's people that are very qualified that would do very well on the TPA, but I don't know how you would do in a classroom setting, you know?
I love that you brought that point up, because at the end of the day too, you're like in your situation, middle school, they're still kids.
Right.
You're dealing with children. You're dealing with, I think you have to have more patience than anything. You have to have control of your emotions and temper, because no names, nothing. I've seen teachers lose it. I've seen teachers under stress. I've seen teachers, at the end, we're all human. So I would imagine they were just having a bad day.
Right.
And there's a lot of like mental strength that comes with being a teacher, especially with the younger kids. I think it gets a little bit easier with like the college age crowd,
for sure,
because it's more like respect and like I'm sure. But when it comes with the high school crowd, even the kids, like it's puberty, emotions, and the stuff they got going on at home.
I took the hardest grade to do too. Like I'm teaching middle school, and
they're about to jump into high, and they're fresh out of elementary.
Exactly. You're not quite like an elementary school kid, but you're not quite a high schooler. Your puberty is really starting to like take effect. All your hormones are starting to rush through your body, and things are developing. You're like, it's a weird time. And I remember being in that phase too. So I think I chose middle school specifically because like I want to help them navigate that, because it's not easy to go through all of those bodily changes and emotional changes and to be like, all right, first period you're learning science, second period you're learning history, third period you're learning math. It's like that's a lot of stress on like a middle schooler, because you just had one teacher for the entire day. Now you have 6, and all of a sudden like, mom, what is this hair growing? You know, like there's all this stuff going on. It's like, does he like me? Does he not like me? I think he likes my friend. My friend likes him. Oh my God, are they gonna like leave me and not become friends with me anymore? So like all those questions that are going on in your head, and it's like now you need to like shut all that stuff up and learn the Pythagorean theorem. You know, it's a really hard time to be a student, and I want to just be there as the best support that I could be. So that's why I'm at middle school.
I love that. And did you have a teacher that inspired you in any way, or that you can like you're kind of like, thank you?
Oh yeah, I feel like I have a couple teachers that really made like a huge impact on me. I feel, I was just talking to him actually, because he ended up being my colleague, Mr. Maria.
Small world.
I know, dude. It's weird. I'm not a fan of history. Like I've never been a fan of history teachers
at all.
Everything. I've never, and I thought it's just because like it just wasn't a subject for me. It wasn't until like I had Mr. Maria, I think in my sophomore year, that he really made history important, because I'd ask questions and he wouldn't just like be like, shut up. He would like say, that's a really good question. He's like, come after class. He's like, I can't talk about that in this curriculum, but come after class and I'll explain it. And I was like, so I would come after class or during lunch, and he'd have all this stuff written on the board because he was waiting for me. And I was like, dude, he was serious. So he'd explain like, the textbook is talking about this, but this is really what happened, you know, and they didn't talk about it because they only like summed it up to like a paragraph, but this is really what happened. Or he'd have an article out and be like, you know, the Civil War happened because of this and this, not necessarily because of that. And I was like, oh, dang. And he's like, now because of all of this, this leads up to, 1960s when this happened. And that's the reason why, like, we ended up with the black president. I'm like, whoa, what? Like, all those different steps led to one thing and another. And I never thought about, like, because they always say if you don't learn history, you're destined to repeat it, right? But that was the first teacher that really made history important enough for that phrase to make sense to me.
Yes.
So that's probably one of the biggest teachers that made an impact.
The reason you went then during lunch or after school, was he like telling you kind of like the truth?
Yeah, he was telling me like the truth to a lot of stuff, which is like...
No, it's because I feel debunk this question, yes or no. Are teachers kind of forced to like teach ways a certain way?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that is true.
So history probably has it the hardest, because I feel like there's a lot of stuff in history that is debatable is not the right word. So it starts. What is it? Dang, what's the word? I think you were about to say it.
Controversial.
Controversial. There we go.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff that's controversial, or people have different opinions on how things should be presented and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad I don't teach history, because I've talked to history teachers and they feel like this curriculum does not expand on this stuff enough, or it really limits this here, or it talks way more about this when it really went down like this.
I think it's crazy how they can cover a whole era in like a day or a week.
I know.
Like from 1800, 1900, that happened. Okay, next.
Yeah, I know. And granted, there's standards that you need to make sure that students are hitting. So they're
doing their job. They're doing their job.
They have to hit those standards,
yes.
but like it's a really hard, because you need to make sure that they know this before they go off to high school.
Mm-hmm.
You know, science is complicated because like the whole idea of like evolution, you know, is controversial, and beliefs, and that becomes a thing. And I personally feel like they both can exist. I don't feel like, you know, it's religion versus like science. I feel like my perspective is I feel like they are complementary. Like you can have a belief in whatever deity you have, but that belief, that power that you get from that deity allowed for things like these technology and all that stuff to manifest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to species to become stronger, better, whatever. Because there's evidence to support that, you know? So I feel like they are complementary and not like divisive,
yes.
but people like to associate them separately because of, you know, how we're supposed to teach it.
And I'm not gonna lie, I feel like that comes from the top of the head down, because our own government is so divided.
Right.
So I really feel it's either you got to be with the A or you got to be with the B, and I don't feel there's no need for that. I feel like I see both point of views, but I can still have my own thoughts at the end of the day. But a lot of people say you either got to go left or you either got to go right, and I'm like, it shouldn't be like that. But I'm very happy there's people like you, and I'm very happy like even your colleagues you guys understand that things aren't right. So I have a question then. If you had a magic wand and tomorrow you can take something out and put something in, like let's say you can teach something that's not in the current curriculum, what would you like want middle school, high school students to know by the time they graduate high school?
Ooh, that is a good one. Ooh, that's good. I feel like well, my current curriculum I feel like is pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
But
it could be anything.
Yeah, but I feel like one thing that would be really cool to, if I can magic wand it, talk about the synonyms or things that can be. So I don't know if you ever seen like it was like a, what is it? The Mission tortilla like commercial a long time ago, but it's like the little Mexican girl and she's just like, ¿Por qué no los dos? You know, like, and she's like soft shell or like hard shell.
Yes.
That thing.
That's an old school commercial.
Right? But I always think of that little girl. She's like, ¿Por qué no los dos? You know, and that's what I feel like when it comes to certain things.
To the people listening, break it down real quick.
Yeah. Why can't you just have both? You know, like I feel like you can have both of those things exist. We can't teach like religion in schools per se, but it's not a matter of like, this is wrong and this is right. You can say like, okay, I don't always agree with you, but maybe some of that can still be attributed into this. Yeah, so if I can magic wand it, I would want to find some way to like unify the two, so that way it's not so divisive.
Love that, and that's a really good point, and I love that you're thinking like that. Something else I wish the school system would add, and this is not till I got older, and even me and my friends talk about it, is, or maybe I'm wrong. I graduated in 2014, so it's been about 9 years.
Yeah.
Is there anything about credit scores or about interest rate or like that type of thing, debt?
So for me, I remember in high school there was an economics teacher, and I can't tell you shit I learned from that class, dude. I remember learning about tax brackets,
low, middle, and high.
Yeah, and I remember learning about that, and like you pay more money the higher up you get in taxes.
Yeah,
and that's pretty much all I can take from that, Mr. French. Sorry, but that's
L.
Kind of where it's.
It's because in America you need debt. I mean, not you need debt, but like you take out loans. Most people can't afford to pay $30,000 for a new car, or hundreds of thousands for a new house.
Hell no.
And a lot of people, like even my friends, like, oh yeah, man, I just put it on the credit card. I'm like, what's your interest rate? 20%. I'm like, bro, that's what the. And most people don't understand how credit or interest rates work.
If I can explain to you how incredibly in debt I was when I was younger, it is bananas, and I couldn't get out. And like, I thought I had it figured out. I was like, okay, well, if this card has $500 or so, then I'll put $50 on that card, you know, and then like, okay, if I do 10 payments at $50, I'll be done. But no, that's not how it works, because like
they don't teach the principal, and then what they take from the interest and what goes on to the actual statement.
And I didn't understand all that. I'm like, dude, I thought, shouldn't it be like $450? I just paid $50 down. But no, that's not how it works, because like the interest was like, I think the interest rate on that card, I was young, it was like 33%. It was like something stupid high. But I didn't know.
But I point the finger at the government. Why don't they teach something? Because I feel like something you're not gonna avoid.
Right.
At one point you're gonna need it. I think it's very.
Yeah.
If anything, hey guys, real quick tip: look up Credit Shufu or look up Graham Stephan. They teach you on how to utilize credit cards to your advantage.
Right.
Either by points, either entry offers. There's so many ways you can leverage credit cards to your advantage, but you also got to educate yourself. And because you can't let the school system do it, because they don't give a fuck.
Right. You know, we found out, my wife and I figured out ways to, like, because after our wedding and everything, like, weddings are crazy expensive.
That's another American scam.
Dude, there's so many American scams, dude. And you don't learn about it until you're already burning, bro.
Hey, people are looking at us with tinfoil hats right now.
I know, dude. I'm just like...
If you're with us, you're with us.
I know. If you're getting married right now, I need a videographer. Like, let me talk to you first. But no, for real, like we figured out, like, okay, like you know, credit transfers. You can like transfer from one card to another. You know, on the zero interest for like 12 months or so. Those cards are great.
Yes.
Because then you just pay it off, and then if like once that's paid off, then you just transfer to another card. We figured out like the whole system, but we didn't learn this in like economics class. You know, so why aren't they teaching us this? It's because it creates a system of people that will use debt, so that way the corporations can benefit off of 33% interest or whatever interest rate they have on that credit card. You know, like I was like 18, I didn't know what I was doing. You know, like,
and most don't.
Yeah,
and then I'm just speaking for myself. Coming from immigrant parents, they won't know.
No,
unless you're like, because also like your parents should kind of be there to guide you, but they only know what they know. And my parents, the same mistakes I made, they made them too. But you kind of gotta go the extra mile to teach yourself. Okay, man. So how can I let this not happen again? From a $500 loan going to $1,000.
Right. No, I feel like in like Black culture, that's very, very similar too, where you can only learn what your parents are learning, right? And they're gonna teach you what they know. And no dig to my parents or anything like that, but I feel like, because it wasn't really like communicated, and that's just kind of how they were living too, with like just, you know, putting it on the credit card. That's just the way it was, and I just figured that was normal, right? So even though it's like not immigrants per se, it's still for me like La Misma. I feel like it's still the community not educating the next in line.
Exactly.
And it's not their fault. It's just you weren't informed, and so by default the next person's not informed, and it creates this chain of people that aren't informed for corporations to benefit off of.
Education is key.
For sure.
The more you know, the more you will achieve in life. Is that what I believe?
That's right.
So you were a teacher during the COVID era, man.
Yeah.
Real quick, once again, shout out to you and everybody out there. That must have been really, really tough.
Yeah.
Can you kind of speak a little bit on that and like the challenges and what you learned going into that? I feel like one thing kids learn is how bad their kids are.
Yeah. I feel like the benefits from like the COVID teaching era was like a lot of parents realized their kids are little shit sometimes. And I just straight up, I feel like they figured it out. And then the other thing that they figured out was like, dude, teachers should be getting paid more. Did they get paid more? But I think people realize like how important of a job it is, because it's not easy when you have a class full of 33 kids that don't necessarily want to learn the lesson. But for me, it was really, I feel like my transition was a little bit different than everyone else, because I'm very techie. So Zoom and all this stuff.
And you're young too, with due respect.
So like for me, I feel like, thank you. I feel like it wasn't too bad for me as far as the transition, but the strain that it still had on you from staring at a screen for like 8 hours, dude. That was hard. And then also, it kills your spirit when you're trying to like, I come up with like all these lessons and ways to accommodate kids that are online because I have to transfer all of these documents to make them, digital so kids can work on them. PowerPoints, Google Docs and everything. And I'm putting all this work, all this effort, all this hard work. Like, okay, how can I make it to where this kid that can't log in because their parents don't have, they're separated and he only has internet at mom's house and not at dad's house. How do I, I'm trying to think of all these things.
Wow.
And I come and I present my work. Everybody screens it off except for like 3 kids who are like looking past me. And I'm like, what are they doing? And I see this kid lean back. I'm not going to call his name out because I think he follows me. But he leans back and he has a PS5 controller in his hand. And he's just watching, he's playing games. And like, what am I doing? Like, why am I putting in all this hard work and effort all for this kid to be playing freaking God of War? That's the game you were playing, dude. I remember it.
Wow.
Why am I putting all this effort for this kid to just be playing video games while I'm trying to do my best? And so I talked with my colleagues and everything, and they were all just everyone was just depressed and down in the dumps.
I could only imagine.
And, we just felt unappreciated. My district specifically, they wanted to send us back like immediately.
I seen that video you did with the protest with your union.
Yeah.
How was there strength in numbers there, or how did that play out?
There were strength in numbers, and I think the thing that was most confusing is everything was still unknown about COVID. We didn't know
this is very early on.
Very, very early on. I think COVID hit like March 2020, and they were trying to send us back like I think the first time like October, then they tried like December, and then eventually they just caved, and I think we went back like April 2021 or something like that. But in the process of doing that whole like trying to send us back, we didn't know how far COVID travels with a sneeze. We didn't know like, is it gonna kill me? Can I pass it on to the next? We didn't know any of that stuff.
The media was blowing it up though.
Yeah,
they make it sound like we were all gonna die.
Yeah, and it's like in the moment, like I have no clue, left or right. Like you got Fauci saying this, and then the other side saying this, and I don't know, and so I don't want to go back to work yet until you guys come up with some like plan. There wasn't anything set in stone, and so for all of the teachers in our union, we just felt like, dang, they're trying to send us back. We don't feel appreciated, and the kids don't.
Did that bring you guys like more closer together as like colleagues and stuff?
This is where I can pat myself on the back. This is where I brought people together because this is where the whole me creating running events started.
Awesome. Okay.
So my very first run was the High Five for Teachers 5K, and I was frustrated with that same kid. You know who you are. And
wow, you really hurt his feelings.
Yeah, he did. I almost said his name.
No.
Keep
going.
I'm not gonna call you out. Your name starts with an A. Anyway, I was just down in the dumps and everything. I talked to my colleagues. They're down in the dumps, and I was like, let's just get outside and just do something, together. So I created a run that you could do virtually, and I called it the High Five for Teachers because it's gonna be like high five to all you guys. And it's a 5K. And I went online, I bought 100 shirts, bought 100 medals, and I sent it out to people, and I said, hey, if you guys want to show up, I'm going to be doing the run at this time. This is how much it costs. And if I really wanted to just break even, I just needed 20 people to sign up, right? Okay. That's 20 people would make me break even. Mm-hmm. And so I went to bed and woke up, I had 24 signups, and I was like, cool, broke even. That's all I really wanted. And then as the days going on, my emails just ding, ding, ding. Gmail's just showing up on my icons. And I bumped up to like 36. And then KCRA calls. And then ABC 10 calls. And from there, it just keeps going up. 40, 50, 60, 70. So I called the shirt people and the medal people back. I was like, hey, can we bump it to like 125? Maybe, I think that'll be a good number. And they're like, okay, but if you do, this is the last time you can change the order because we gotta ship it out to you soon. I was like, okay, well, 125. They're like, okay. I hung up 101, 102, 103 signups. And I was like, ooh. So I stopped it at 125 because I didn't have anything else to give anybody.
Yeah. And you wanted to make sure everybody got a shirt.
I wanted to make sure everyone got something. So I cut it off. People were like messaging me from like Hollywood, Michigan saying, hey, can I do it virtually? You don't have to send me anything. I'll just, I just want to be a part of it.
Wow.
And I was like, this is like beautiful, just people that are teachers or like their wife's a teacher or like their siblings a teacher. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to do something out of appreciation for everyone that signed up. So I decided, I was like, all right, you know what? To make it on top of like what we're doing, we have 1,500 teachers in Lodi Unified. It's 15 miles from the district office to the school that I work at. So I was like, I'm going to run from my district office to my school. And if you guys want to meet me there, then we can do the 5K together. And so I put the video out, and I got 2 people that hit me back immediately and said, we'll run the 15 miles with you.
I seen that. What was their names?
Johnny Rodriguez, La Máquina. He's the GOAT.
I seen the video.
Johnny's amazing, dude. And then the other guy is Nelson. He's a teacher at Crystal McAuliffe. Dude's
Shout out
amazing.
to you guys. Awesome. Good thing you guys did there.
Yeah. And so those 2 guys decided to run with me, and I had never met them before the video. I literally met them that day.
I like how you showed that interaction.
Yeah, it was cool. And they're both Rodriguez. I'm like, you guys related? No. Okay.
They're Mexicans.
So, we ran from the district office. I got to my school, Delta Sierra, that I teach at, and there's like 80 people in blue shirts all waiting for me, like doing applause. And like, I got emotional, dude, because I was just like, I just came up with this idea because you know who you are, student. And from there, it just became a thing. Everyone was like, this is great. I'm so glad you did this. Are you going to do it next year? And I was like, sure. And
they were already asking.
Yeah. And so out of respect for their request, I did it again the next year. We had 200 and something signups, and we partnered with Lincoln Center. So we did it in Lincoln Center in Stockton. And we just finished up our 3rd annual one, 250 signups, 30 different small businesses that all came together to sell during the event. And yeah, it's a really cool, just like a blessing in disguise, because I didn't know that this was something that I would be doing years ago.
Yes.
But here I am, and just trying to unite people together and create a space where people feel, free to go whatever pace that they want to, but also in the avenue of the high five for teachers, a way to show teachers like you are appreciated. These are all people that are running to recognize a teacher that made an impact on them.
Beautiful, bro. Beautiful. And it's crazy because everything just starts off as an idea. Right. And you don't know if it's going to work. Like you said if I only had 25, I'd be happy if I just got that, because then I could break even. And I don't think you were waiting to have like 250 plus, not this latest event. So you're going to do it next year.
Yeah, we'll be doing it next year.
An annual event. Love that, man. Love that. I wanted to ask you, and this is more along for the parents and speaking on the cough era, is there any suggestions or advice you could give to like maybe parents to help better their students in like for school? Like, I don't know, maybe like sit down with them, or what supplies they need. Like I don't know, just the advice from an actual teacher. Like what's something you think you can like tell parents that can like help them give their students the best chances of being the best student they can be?
That's a great question, man. I feel like it varies per parent and per student. So going back to like English learner students, right? I feel like typically when I would see this, right, when I was doing the TPA, I immediately think Mexican American, or like students that are coming from Mexico, because we're in California, and that's typically what I deal with. It wasn't until I had my first student that was like she came from Cambodia, and she spoke no English. I speak a decent amount of Spanish, so like I can talk to my EL students that speak Spanish, and we joke around and stuff. We talk about Peso Pluma, whatever.
That's dope. He said Peso Pluma.
Dude, the kids love Peso Pluma, dude. It's the ski mask. Yeah, so I can relate to those students pretty good, but it wasn't until I had a student that spoke like Khmer, and I had no way of like connecting with that. It was really hard that I realized, okay, what can I do to help the parents help her? Because I can't, I have no way of like helping her out. And in that case, I was just trying to let them know, like, okay, well, here's everything that I'm going to be teaching in the weeks coming up. If you guys can just kind of review it ahead of time, then that will help her, because then you guys will kind of know, and when she mentions it to you, then it won't sound foreign. Yes. But it's hard because I don't know what every parent's at a different education level. So 8th grade science can be really hard, especially if you haven't done 8th grade science in like a long time. Yes. And things are different now. So the technology is all different and everything. So I guess my best recommendation for, if I was to just put like a general statement, depending on, regardless of like background and educational status and all that stuff, general statement I think would just to be present with your kids.
Be present
with your kids as they're trying to do their work, because I think when we as teachers give assignments, we're basing it off of what we just covered in class, or what we're going to be covering next. But if the parent can just hop in and say, even if they don't know, they can say, okay, well, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's a thing in education where it says if you can teach someone else, then that means you know it well enough yourself. So if the student is just having the conversation with their parent, like, and the parent, maybe they get it wrong, like, oh, is that iodine? Like, no, mom, that's not iodine. That's this. Or he said something about like the valence electrons or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Then that conversation, now it's a conversation about it, and it's repetition in your brain.
Yes.
And it's going to trigger something that makes you say like, oh wait, I do remember. Wait, I think I wrote this down. So now I'm going to go get my binder. So all of that, the whole process, even if you're a parent and you have no clue what the hell your student's talking about, just mention it. And don't worry about feeling embarrassed if you don't know. It's been a long time. I think that's the first step that a lot of parents, aren't willing to take, for the embarrassing, probably. But I do not want to disregard the hardworking parents that are like working during this time.
Yeah.
Because that's also an issue. Parents they're working, and I feel like back in the day, it was easier to have a household where there was one parent that worked. But back to our conversation on like the economy and how expensive everything is, bro. It's really freaking expensive nowadays. So
the system is kind of messed up.
Yeah. So both parents have to work.
Both parents are, and they're kind of absent for a majority time of their kid's life.
Yeah.
And it's hard. And then I think it's also almost like embarrassing to parents to kind of talk about education if they don't know much, or even about finances if they're having a hard time. Like that's why I think they rather just not speak about it at all,
right?
And then try to like teach, because they're like, oh, I'm doing my best, but the kid doesn't know that. I think that, oh, that's just the norm.
Yeah.
Just like paycheck to paycheck, work all your life. And
yeah, my mom never talked about the finances. We just there was times where things were good, where we were doing really good, and there was times where things were not. Like we were homeless for a bit. And that was a very humbling moment as a kid, because I didn't know. It's not like I knew that we were heading there. All of a sudden we just were, and it's because we didn't talk about those kind of things. And that kind of like feeling, maybe as a parent, now that I am a parent, I feel like it's, your job to provide and bring it in and make sure everything's fine. And I feel like in retrospect, my parents probably felt like they didn't want to talk about it because that's a failure or an embarrassment on themselves. When in reality, it was a hard time. This is when the foreclosure crisis happened, and like we weren't able to keep up with like the, ballooning interest rates and all this stuff. So I know it now, but in the moment I was like, what's going on? So it's hard to say as a parent or as an adult, really, like, I don't know something, or like I'm struggling with this. And, if we can just have that conversation more, just make it more normal, I feel like that might be the next step in learning for everybody.
I love that, bro. Love that. What do you enjoy most about teaching, or what's like the biggest like gift you get back from like educating your students?
The paycheck. It's not the paycheck.
I was about to say no, because you can make a lot more money doing other things. Yeah. So I know you're capping on that one.
Stop the cap. Yeah, there's like a study about all these different jobs that are like random jobs that make more than teachers do, and it was a really sad reality to look at that list. But yeah, it's not the paycheck. I think the most rewarding thing from teaching the students is there's this thing I call the aha moment. And it's this thing where I teach at a Title I school, which is a lower socioeconomic status school. And
I'm sorry, what'd you say right there?
It's called Title I.
Oh, Title I.
Yeah, and so these are just it's a group. If you're familiar with Stockton, then like Kelly Drive, you've got I just completely blanked out on Don Avenue, like all of those kids. But also, if you go a little bit further, Sutherland and Park Lane are like two of our schools that feed into Delta Sierra.
Yes.
And those neighborhoods like Cortez Park and everything, they're rough neighborhoods, So like the kids are products of their environment. And so when I get a moment to teach them like a really hard concept in science, like this is like, it's a heavy concept. Like one of my favorite units is light waves. When I get them to understand how light, which is invisible technically, we don't see the light waves. We see it when it interacts with something, but light itself isn't like, you don't see just like waves going through the sky. If I can get you to understand that wave carries energy, and that energy, when it interacts with your skin cells, causes them to get damaged, and that damage over long periods of time can lead to skin cancer, they see this aha, and they're like, my grandma died because she had skin cancer. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, so what are we doing to stop? And now that they have a question, like, well, why don't what's happening that's causing that? I'm like, well, it's coming from the sun. And they're like, okay, but how come some people get skin cancer and others don't? I'm like, that's a great question. We're going to bring up this next thing, which is called melanin, right? And melanin, which blocks out UV light. And they're like, well, how come some people have melanin and some people don't? And so I love that moment, that conversation, that aha moment, that thing in their head that makes them say, well, why not this? Or how come we can't do that? That is my favorite moment in teaching, because it makes them the next citizens that say, I understand this concept and I want to apply something to make it better.
The interaction, being in the conversation, understanding the concept of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so I'm assuming then when you run, do you wear sunscreen?
Yes and no, depending on like there's a runner sunscreen that I need to get because it just does a better job.
It doesn't just sweat off.
It doesn't just sweat off. But I run so early in the mornings that I really don't usually need it. Because I try to beat the heat.
Yes.
So when I run, the UV index is very, very low. So the UV index is probably like 1 or 2.
How often do you run?
Well, recently, not as often as I should. But before, when I was like doing marathon training and stuff, I would run probably about like 50 miles a week.
50 miles a week?
Yeah. So I would start in the mornings. I would run at like usually like 5 or 6 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I would try to get like maybe, 8 to 10 miles in that day. And I would probably do that like 4 or 5 times a week.
Nice, man. Most people, I think, won't even do that in a month. 8 to 10 miles. Good for you, man. Good for you. As far as advice or tips, do you carry an accessory with you, like a sports watch, maybe like a phone holder, like a bottle of the water maybe on your waist? Do you carry anything with you?
Yeah. So if it's a short run, like I got like work in like 1 hour and I got to make sure I get back in time to shower. Then I really just have like my phone in like this runner's pouch. It's like super thin and light. It's literally only room for your phone, and it's like a buckle that goes around. I have that, and then my watch, and then my AirPods. That's pretty much it. For like longer runs, like if I'm doing anything like 13 miles or above, I gotta carry water. So I have another belt that has like water bottles on the side. Of course, my Apple Watch, and then my AirPods, and another thing which is like a game changer. So if anyone's new to like running distances. You got to stay hydrated for sure. And you got to make sure that you have your electrolytes. But you need to also be taking some sort of like calories, right? Because
calories.
Yeah, or some
like
sort of
they're talking about the pills?
There's like some of them are like little pills, some of them are like chewy gummies and stuff. But the ones I use are like these little pouches that have like fruit on the inside. They're called spring energy gels. Amazing. They have calories, they're energy, and you don't realize how hungry you get when you're running, but it helps put all that stuff back into your body.
Yes.
Game changer. That's one of it's game changer.
And you recommend that, like you said, 13 miles plus, right? Yeah.
Well, it depends on the person. So some people, like if they need one, like they recommend if you're gonna do every 30. Some say every 30 minutes you take one. For me, I do it like every 45. But if I'm doing 13 miles, I for sure make sure I have like 2 or 3. Yeah. Just as backup.
I think it's more about putting in the reps, but maybe I just want to hear from you. So somebody just wanted to do the first 5K. Somebody wanted to do this first half marathon. Is it just working your way up there? Is it a lot of training? Is it like having a good diet, or just everything plays a part?
It's a little bit of all three. But I say the biggest thing, and I tell people, just do it. Just try it. Even if you don't do well, even if you're like gassing and like you're like you mentally, what your brain is gonna say is you should be doing better than this. Like, or I used to run cross country like in high school. Like this isn't your prime, and you start beating yourself down throughout the entire process.
It's a mental game.
It's a huge mental game. Yes. And the whole thing is like as you're trying to better yourself, your body is giving out, and your brain is saying like, this is stupid, dude. You should be, you're fat, you're out of shape, you're whatever. Your brain starts telling you all these things, and you just have to say, shut up and just do it. And because the more you do it, the better you get at it. So going back to like the Golden Gate Half Marathon, when I first started, like I was gassing out like literally like a mile in, and then I just kept telling myself like, no, I'm just gonna keep pushing myself, just keep pushing. So it's different for everyone's like trajectory, like how they're gonna get to the next thing, but. The first thing for everyone is to just do it. You just got to put yourself out and just do it.
I love that. What goes on inside those AirPods then when you are in a race and run? Is it a podcast? Is it music? Is it some type of book? Audio book?
No, it's like Miley Cyrus and Dua Lipa and Selena Gomez.
I would have never guessed.
No, there is some Miley Cyrus though that goes on, but I would say that the biggest thing are just like I like hyped playlists. So I have, but keeping it the same beats per minute for me. Like if you have songs that like get too slow, you start running slower because your body's going with the rhythm. So try to keep something that's the same beat if you can. If you have a playlist that keeps everything the same beat, Spotify has playlists that are running playlists, by the way, and you could choose what beats per minute you want. So if you want it to be 160 beats per minute, 125, whatever, you can choose those playlists and it will keep the songs at that beats per minute.
That's a good tip right there.
Yeah. But if you are not a person that likes to run and listen to music, there's two options. There's podcasts.
The Valley Vibes podcast, of course.
I know. Subtle shout out.
Appreciate you.
I listened to a good podcast, Science Versus. I don't know if you ever heard of that one.
No.
Dude, check it out. The way that they structure everything is great.
Yes.
You probably have heard of Robinhood.
Yes.
Do you listen to their podcast?
No.
Dude.
Heard though.
Dude, their podcast is like, that is like the pinnacle for me of like creating humor and then making something informal out of it.
I love that. My top favorite is, have you heard of Lex Friedman?
Yeah.
Lex Friedman. I'm a big Lex Friedman.
Yeah.
And Flagrant.
Yeah. I want to kind of take that and just apply it to what I'm doing. But they do it so flawlessly that it just blows my mind. So that's one thing that you can do. Or do you know David Goggins?
That's the go. Right? That guy, he's changed my life. Without even meeting him, David Goggins, his books, his story, his podcast.
Yeah.
He helped me believe in you are in control of your life.
For sure.
Everybody's in control of their life.
Yeah.
Your current circumstance doesn't have to be your end all be all.
Yeah.
You start today.
Yeah.
Like David Goggins, highly recommend him.
Yeah.
Navy SEAL, but he became that person. It's not like he woke up like his incredible. Check him out, please.
Oh, for sure.
How has he impacted you?
Well, the thing with David Goggins is like the guy, he can do just in a nutshell. If you Google David Goggins, you're gonna see like the guy's fit as hell, but he can just run for crazy long distances. He passed like I think every military like training or something. It's something crazy like that. And his mentality is just like he's straight up.
That's what it is, the mentality.
Yeah.
But one thing is like he couldn't swim. He was overweight. He was obese. Like
he was his parents were like an abusive
a crazy childhood upbringing, abusive dad, like the worst of the worst circumstance.
Right.
Every he was in every scenario to quit or to give up.
Yeah.
And he chose not to.
And his whole mentality is like he's like, stop being a bitch and do it. You know, like I don't know if you saw like one of his videos that he was talking about. He's like, I was running the other day and this guy pulled up next to me and said, how long are you running for? I said, I don't know. And I said, he's like, man, I don't know. I don't think I could do that. And I said, that's the problem. That's the difference between me and you. I wake up when I do it. He's just like motivational, like 100%. This guy 100%. Wakes up, eggs and bacon. This guy's ready to just like go out and run. And that's one thing I was like, damn, if David Goggins could do it, I could do it.
that's the whole point. I think that's the whole point of his message, his books, and his story. But, shout out to David Goggins.
One thing, if you didn't know, David Goggins does not run with music.
I heard he runs with like his haters' comments.
Does he?
Yeah, he talked on the podcast. This is how psycho he is. His words. He'll take all like his haters, like poser, you're a loser, this and that. He'll put it in an audio form. Yeah, and he'll listen to that while he's running.
Dude, that's intense, man.
That's intense, man.
Because I remember watching one thing that he said. He's like, I don't listen to music. He's like, that's a distraction. And I'm sitting here like, I'm playing 2 Chainz, dude. But like that's one thing that he does. I feel like if I'm on a run and I'm just hearing myself wheezing all day long, I don't want to. It's defeating. I don't want to hear that. I have to listen to something. Yes. So either if it's a conversation with like a podcast, or if it's some sort of like song, but I got to be hearing something to keep me going. That's me. But sorry, David.
All these runs and races that you participate in them, how do you find out about them, or how do you stay connected in that community?
Yeah, so since I now have like a YouTube and an Instagram and all that's dedicated to running. Mm-hmm. Some running organizations reach out to me and ask me to come and participate in their runs, which is always like,
what a blessing.
It's a blessing. It is like the highest honor. It's the coolest thing because, again, I didn't have a background in all this. So when I get invited to something, like to be a part of it, and they're like, yeah, he's, enter this code, waive your registration. And I'm like, dude, that's wild, because like the Napa to Sonoma, the one I just did, I'm actually working on the video right now. Napa to Sonoma is like $250. And they're just like, yeah, just come, just be a part of it, record it like you normally do. And that's the thing, So we've come a long way.
It's crazy the power of content too.
Yeah.
This is actually moving on to that. Moving on to that, the YouTube, the videos. What does your students or your family or like people close to you say about your YouTube channel? Because I feel like 10, 20 years ago, we would have been considered weird.
Yeah.
like even my parents don't get it.
Yeah.
Like I tell them, hey, I talk to people on camera. It's a podcast. They're like, the heck? In my living room, they're like, yeah,
cool.
Exactly. But like, this is kind of people that are with it, they get it. But what do your close people say to you?
Yeah. Well, just to segue for a second, this is cool as hell, man. Like, I feel like this is I feel like the coolest thing about conversation is learning about people, right? And figuring out what different things people can offer and what they do and everything, and you're doing it in like the coolest way possible and stuff. This is dope. So shout out to you, dude.
I appreciate that.
Hit that button.
Only because you requested it.
But yeah, as far as my family, I feel like there are people in my life that I don't know if you've seen that, like from Cars, the little Lightning McQueen. That's my wife every single time. She's always reposting everything.
That's beautiful.
She's my biggest supporter.
Shout out to her.
Yeah, for sure. Vanessa, you're great. And she's also like the MVP when it comes to like watching the kids, because our kids they're little still, so she'll take on that and like deal with all of that. I can do a whole like freaking rant about like how great my wife is, because I really feel like the passion that I had to pursue all of this stuff came from her instilling the confidence in me, because I've been in previous relationships before where they didn't support the idea of me doing stuff. Like I would be getting offers to go do this for like poetry or like another job here, but it was too far, or like, what am I gonna do while you're gone? I'm like, I don't know. But she's always like, yeah, go do it, like whatever, podcast, yeah, go for it. She's like the greatest supporter. So shout out to Vanessa. But back to the question, which was the people, like
what does your people say about you doing your videos, putting yourself out there in the internet, which I gotta give credit to you and anybody else that you're putting yourself in the public eye and vulnerable. Very vulnerable,
right?
But what have your people said to you about that?
I've had great support. My mom's been like a great support, and my students, I think, are also a really great support, because they watch my videos, they come back and they talk about it. But it's a group, all my friends, they repost everything. It's just really cool to see the amount of people that came out and supported this random idea, and it is random, like you were saying, like your parents and stuff. They're just like, okay, so you're recording yourself running? I remember my aunt asked me, like, you're just recording yourself running? Like, what? And it sounds weird when you say it like that, like, don't. And it looks weird if you're seeing it from like a distance, you're just running with the camera. But the support group has been just, without that support, I probably wouldn't have continued to pursue it. So, and I have my Patreon. Shout out to my dude James. Like, from day one, this guy was like, dude, he has been like, what are you doing? He's like, dude, that's dope. Here's some money every month to, like, for your Adobe Photoshop, and that subscription's expensive.
No, it is.
And it like chips away at all that cost, so I'm able to do the stuff that I want to do. So those people really make me motivated to keep doing it, because there's people that believe in you, and even though you questioned yourself at some point, even though some other people questioned you at some point,
raise eyebrows,
or just like squint a little bit, like, what? This group of people supports you, and that's what I'm doing it for every single time. And if we get new people along the journey that want to continue to like support what I'm doing, awesome. But I'm doing it for me because I enjoy it, and I'm doing it for the people that enjoy me doing it.
That's beautiful. What's been your biggest like obstacle or struggles being out on YouTube?
I would say flat out comparing yourself. I think that that is probably
That's a good one.
it is the most damaging thing you could possibly do, because you're looking at other YouTubers who have either been doing this for like a long time, right? A long time. Mr. Beast, I don't know if you know his backstory, but dude started out like with nothing, you know?
The GOAT.
Yeah, and like he's like now the number one, like, well, not number one, but he's like one of the most like sought, no names in like a house. But comparing yourself to other people that are doing what you're doing is like so bad for you. And I would do it all the time. Be like, dude, how come they're doing this, or how come they're doing this? And then at one point, maybe like 2 years ago, so I'm like, I don't need to. I'm just gonna do what I do, you know, and that's it. But it took a while for me to get out of that mind state. And every now and then I feel like it's normal still to think, what is so-and-so doing right that I'm not doing? Or how could I be more like this? When in reality, like, just do what you do. And that's why you're doing this in the first place.
Yeah, because if you compare yourself to Bob, you're not going to beat Bob at being Bob. But he can't beat you at you being yourself. So just be your best self. Because there's no real... You don't gain nothing from comparison.
No.
And I love that you brought that up. You mentioned you're a father, a husband, a teacher, a runner, a YouTuber. Talk to me a little bit about the balance. Because I respect you a lot for what you do for the kids, what you do for the community. But how do you juggle all these and have all these hats on?
So I learned, so my moniker, my whole mantra was like, Stowers does it all, right? And that's kind of what I wanted to do, right?
That's like, the motto, huh?
Yeah, because I was told like, oh, you got to choose one thing. And I was like, I want to do it all. And here I am. But
back to the girl, why not both?
Yeah, okay, no. But I feel like in my doing it all, I've realized that it's really hard too. And so now I have a team that makes it a lot easier to get things done. Shout out to Garth. He's a great addition to the team. He helps out a bunch with taking some of the load off during my events, because I was trying to be the MC, the music person, the announcer, the race director, the event coordinator, the timing machine. I can't do all of it. There's no way.
Yeah.
So he's taking that off. My wife is taking it off, and I've also hired some other people that are like in charge of other things, because you just can't.
Yeah, you physically can't.
You can't.
Yep.
But I would say that all of the other tasks, going back to my wife, I just keep coming back to her. Is this her podcast? She has been a lot of stuff that happens behind the scene of like my face, because I feel like I was just talking to someone the other day who said that he felt like all my races were just like about me, when it's like that was never my intention. The videos are me because
you're the face of it.
I'm the guy that does the videos, but like my wife is helping with the design. She's the one that's organizing on the shirts, because I'm not organized like that. I'm not. She's the organized one. So you should see our closet. Her closet's like all, and then it's not until she does my closet that it looks nice. But she folds the shirts and stuff and makes them presentable. She gets all the medals and stuff for display. She is helping out with making designs. She is helping out during the event with like pointing the volunteers in the correct spots. So she takes a lot of that stuff off. But like I mentioned earlier, like I'm the extrovert and she's more like ambivert, closer to like the introverts on the spectrum. So you're not going to see her go and grab the microphone and be like, what's up? You know, that's not her, you know? So I think the juggling of it all is multiple people juggling. I'm just the one that's obviously seen usually doing the juggling, but there's a lot of people behind the scene that make it possible.
Exactly. And I love how you give the credit and give the flowers to your people, because I'm pretty sure they're really proud of you.
Yeah.
Hey, like everything you accomplished and everything you've been able to do. Talking about your events then, what's been the most effective way that you've been able to like promote them? Is it just social media, word of mouth, a mixture of everything? How are you able to have 250 plus people come and support? Which I think is amazing, by the way.
Yeah, it's I would say that the number one thing that's been my thing is just social media. And I know everyone says, oh, you need to get on TikTok, but funny thing is like Instagram, I think, is where there's more like adults. So I feel like more
the demographic.
People, yeah, you're gonna see more people that are interested in doing runs on Instagram versus like TikTok, which typically tends to be a younger population.
Yes.
No offense to TikTokers out there, but that's just the reality that I've noticed.
Yes.
So I put a lot of my focus on Instagram. I've actually put less focus on my YouTube channel. But YouTube Shorts came around, and now I'm like, oh, what's up? You know,
Yeah.
because people's short attention span, they'll watch like a
It's
60-second
crazy.
video.
It's even the movies.
Yeah, dude.
Like we can't if there's no jump cuts and every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
We swipe.
Yep. People are just like, oh, this is too long.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I remember I sent it was my gender reveal it was us announcing that we were expecting, and I sent it to my friends. It was like a 2-minute video,
And they skip to the end.
and I said as a joke, I was like, "Yeah, I'm making fun of you, David." So I said it as a joke. I was like, "Hey guys, let me know how my video editing was in this video or whatever." And my friend was like, "It announces in the end, that we're expecting a baby." And my friend's like, "Oh, that's pretty good. You should probably center, the person in the second shot. Hope that helps." And moved on. But one of my other friends had already seen it because I'd already shown him. He's like, "Maybe you should go watch the end." He goes, "Oh, I did." He's like, "Just that's the only thing I see that you need to focus on." And I was like, "Go watch the end, bro." And then finally they were just like, "Watch the video." And so like 2 days later, he's like, "Oh, congratulations." But it goes back to the idea that
they just watched the first 10, 20.
A 10-minute video is long now,
Yeah.
which is that wasn't the case before. But because we're in the area where like advertisements are just getting pushed to you all the time, and you skip ad if it's like longer than like this many seconds. That's just the reality of things now.
That's one thing though that I find amazing about podcasts and about this is for right now, maybe because I suck, I'm like 2-3 episodes behind on my Spotify and Apple, but on the YouTube it's up to date.
Yeah.
But just the simple fact that I'm nowhere near you, but a few hundred views, a few hundred subscribers. But the simple fact that because my podcasts are all over an hour plus, hour and a half on average. And I'm like, the simple fact that like the watch time on there is like 50, 100 hours. I'm like, damn, like there's people that actually do like podcasts. There's a place for them.
Right.
For the hour plus convos.
Yeah.
Which on paper sounds like, who's gonna listen to 2 people, 3 people, whatever, talk and like it's crazy how, because I do it more for the educational side.
Right.
So that's why I always tell my guests or even the audience, the few that watch me, I'm like, just think about me as the student, and I look at whoever's sitting across from me as the master.
Right.
That's why I always try to like learn, or what can we take away from the person sitting across from us.
Right.
Because I feel like there's a lot of value in knowledge, education, learning from somebody that is in their world, a master in their dojo.
Yeah.
So
That's a great way to look at it, man. I feel cool. I feel honored to hear that.
no, thank you, man, and thank you for being here once again. On a YouTube video of yours, you said you titled a video called "Stop Buying Lame Running Shoes," featuring the Saucony Empower and what Endorphins Pro 2s. What shoes do you run with, and do you think it's all preference?
This is not a sponsored ad.
Not a sponsor.
I can tell you with 100% certainty that there is no other shoe that I will run in other than this Saucony Endorphins. What? They are amazing. Just stop the cap. I'm dead serious.
I haven't tried them. I need to try them.
Dead serious, man. Like Saucony Endorphins are, they're the shit when it comes to running shoes.
Long distance, short, whatever.
All the above, man.
Wow.
There's other shoes that I think are good for walking in, and some people run in these depending on which brand, because there's different varieties of them. But Hoka's to me are, I think, really good walking shoes. Hoka. But if you're gonna run, for me, because it also depends on the shape of your foot. There's a lot of parameters to this. Saucony is just untouched, dude. I feel like they're just really great shoes.
They've also been doing it for a long time.
They've been doing it for a while. And then next would be Brooks. Brooks is also another good one. So,
what's your opinion on flat foot? Not flat foot, but barefoot, I mean.
Like people running barefoot?
No, the barefoot shoes.
So I know that, and studies show that running barefoot over long periods of time is better for your foot than running cushioned in a shoe, because running in a cushioned shoe conditions your foot in a way that doesn't strengthen certain muscles.
Yes.
I'm still running in the Saucony.
I love the honesty, man. Only reason I had to bring that up, man, is because my 2 pairs are both barefoot.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, man. How do you like it?
Love them.
Yeah?
I think it was a bit harder to get adjusted to.
Yeah.
One I actually use for work. It's a collab with Viva Broom. It's a big brand with Michelin.
Yeah.
So the tread is actually Michelin
tires?
Yep, Michelin tires.
Yeah.
And then the other one is just pure like outdoors and running. And I can tell you my balance, my stance, like overall net positive.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm on steroids though when I got one with cushioning.
Yeah.
Just because I that little extra inch or two of the helps.
Yeah.
Definitely helps. But
I'll give him a shot. I just haven't done it before, and I just feel like
not for everybody.
Yeah.
And it sucks for like the first month.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you're activating muscles like you said you're not used to activating.
Right.
But
there is a shoe that I did. They sent it to me for free. It was Africa's first running shoe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you saw Inda. It was a shoe called Inda, and their shoe design is beautiful. But if you are a person that runs flat-footed, it's probably geared more for you because I was used to running in like Brooks and Hoka and Saucony. So when
with a fat sole,
or just something that's a little bit more like cushioned around the foot. But this one was very like flat, and I was not used to it.
Yes.
And so when they sent it to me and I had to make a review, I was like, how can I word this? Because like I don't think it's a bad shoe. It's just not for me, you know? So I put in the video, I think that like if you're a person that likes to run with their foot, that people like to say they like to feel the ground. If that's you, then this is a shoe for you. But maybe I can go back and try them, you know, now that
is that the one where you like gave up 3 miles in? Like you said, it's not today.
Yeah.
Okay, I did watch that video.
That was the one. Yeah.
But you know what? I love the authenticity.
Yeah.
At least we know you can't be like bought out.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing more I hate than just because somebody sent you something, you're gonna like sell it up to the people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of value in being genuine, keeping it 100, good or bad. You know.
Yeah. It took me a long time to edit the video just because I didn't want to sound. I didn't want to try to sell somebody something that I personally did not approve.
Yes.
But I also didn't want to discredit people that run differently than I do. So that's why I was like, okay, that's how I ended up, coming up with the final product. I was like, I'm just going to put it out there for anyone that likes to run this way. Me personally, not my shoe.
What's your upload schedule like? Or is it just whenever you feel like it?
Initially, it was weekly. I was actually at a point where I was doing bi-weekly back when I was doing stuff with that Metal Dash company. But I didn't continue the ambassadorship with them. Nothing negative. I didn't have time. And then I went to weekly. And then once I started hosting my own events, because it started with just the High Five for Teachers. And then from there, I added the Talk of the Town. And then shortly after, I added Santa Dash. And now I have another one called the Brain Health, the Beat Stroke. Damn.
So do you have one like every 2-3 months?
So the High Five is always in May. Talk of the Town is always in September. And the Santa Dash is always in December. So those are the main three. The Brain Health, the Beat Stroke is not my run, actually. It belongs to a company called Healings in Motion. And it's created by a lady named Mary Nicholson who had an ischemic stroke.
What's an ischemic stroke?
So it is it's a different kind of stroke, but it's one that's preventable. And there's I found out through the company that 80% of strokes are preventable.
Really?
Yeah. But the issue was that there wasn't enough people talking about strokes to create a space to improve people's awareness on how to respond to it. So she created a run. This is now the 10th annual one that's coming up. It's on August 12th, and it takes place at UOP. And the whole idea was to bring awareness to brain health and strokes. From there, she reached. I actually participated in the last one that she did, the 9th one, and I got first place for my age group for the 10K. And
good for you, man. Yeah. Congrats, man. Like that. And you say you're not fast, but
I mean, I'm like low key fast. I'm not the fastest, but
sounds you're a little bit above average though.
I would say like I'm above the middle. Like I'm not.
Nah. You got over 50 runs under your belt, man. You're way above average. Most people won't run in a year.
I think I'm at 77 runs now that I've completed.
Nice.
But yeah, so that's how I kind of partnered up with them. They brought me on, and I was like, okay, I want to help you guys spread the word about this because I lost my dad to stroke.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Oh no, it's okay. It was 2014, and it was a real eye opener because it made me realize that things aren't permanent. Because I guess just living because I really hadn't lost anyone before my dad, and when I did, it really showed one what loss does to a family, because my mom was so strong. I'd never seen her like devastated before. And then 2, it really showed me that things come and go, and there are regrets that can happen. There's words that you should have said, and all that stuff that comes with it. And so when they asked me to be a part of the event, I was like, for sure. And so that's the first time. This is my first time I'm working with them. So it kind of squeezes right between the high five for teacher and the talk of the town. But typically they're spaced out May, June, July, August, September, 4 months. And then there's like a big gap between like Santa Dash and then the high five.
I love the positivity and nothing but good vibes.
Yeah.
Valley vibes. Just talking about family and even you're a parent of 2?
Yeah, we got one on the way too. So
congratulations to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Being a father, how's that like changed your life, or what has like fatherhood taught you?
Well, I feel like the biggest thing that I've taken from like fatherhood is that you can it's okay to mess up, right? Because I feel like when you first become like a parent, you're like watching a little human grow and develop. You're like, I got this responsibility to be like the perfect parent and don't fuck up. If you fuck up, they're gonna be fucked up, and then like life's gonna be fucked up for the rest of life. So once I realized like it's okay to not know and make like you can make mistakes here and there, it made me feel more comfortable with like my mistakes, because I'm like, okay, now I just need to improve that next time. So just recently, because like I try to be patient with my kids. My daughter is very, 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 very energetic. Like she has questions and she's so smart. She's been talking since she was like 1, like full conversations.
Kind of like a mini you.
Yeah, dude. Everybody says like this is how you were when you were little.
Your twin.
Yeah, and so she's 3 now, and the conversations that she has are so elaborate and like her word choice and everything. And sometimes I forget that she's 3, because she talks so well. And I think a lot of people forget that she's 3 because she's also very, very tall. She blends in with all the other 5-year-olds. I don't know where she got the height from, but she blends in with the other 5-year-olds. Yes. And so I forget that she's so little. And so I lose my patience because I have high expectations of her sometimes. And in those moments, I remember like my dad's high expectations of me. And I think, okay, I need to cool it down. She's just 3, dude. It's not that big of a deal. She makes mistakes and her brain's still developing, So I think when I lose my temper or like get upset at times, I think, is this going to damage her long term? Is she going to remember this? Is she going to like hold this against me? And some stuff she does, like the other day she asked me something. She's like, don't get mad. And I was like, I'm not going to get mad. She's like, well, you get mad when I say this. And I was like, no. I was like, that's not. Go ahead and ask the question. So there's always room for improvement and fixing things, especially when they're that little, because they're just little balls of Play-Doh just getting shaped every day. And sponging and taking everything in. So yeah. I think when I let go of the pressure of just trying to be perfect dad all the time, it allowed me to be more organic with the kids. You have some great intentions, man. Very great intentions. And thank you for being so like vulnerable on this podcast. You pointed a lot of your L's basically, or like your mess ups and the human side of things. Because I feel even you have been called a hero in your community. I've seen it in the comments. I've seen people refer to you to all that a lot. But I also love that you showed that at the end of the day, we're all human and we make mistakes, and we're our biggest critics. For sure. As we should be, though. As we should, because I always feel like every day is a day to improve. Right. Being called a hero in your community and having all these businesses, teachers, colleagues, friends, and family support you, how has that been like? It is, I don't know how to take compliments sometimes, because like I don't know what to do with it. It's just like, thank you, But when people call me like a hero and all of these statements, it really energizes me to make sure I do even better next time, because even with like my events, even though they are successful, I'll go back to the talk of the town, because I think that was the first L I ever took, because people liked it, but I had volunteers put onto the wrong part of the course. So people ended up going a little bit further than a 5K, which is, instead of doing 3.1 miles, they did like 3.3. And some people came to me and they were upset about it. And then, so that happened. And then I was running out of time. We actually started late because I ended up putting everything in the gym. And we couldn't get the gym open in time to like start. So like there was just like
from the first event,
from the first talk of the town. And in there, I could tell people were upset, on certain things. It still ran fine, but like logistically, me, like I'm a perfectionist when it comes to my stuff. So when people were still saying like, "Wow, this is such a great event. I'll be here next year. Appreciate this." People want to take pictures. They're all the stuff they're putting up, the backdrop and all that. They're utilizing all these ideas that like my wife and I came up with. Those moments where like I'm the hero or like I'm doing all these things for the community, it just energizes me to make sure that I keep this. I don't lose my focus, and I don't rest on my laurels, and I just keep doing better and making sure that the next event that you're a part of is either even better or just as good as this one. I don't want you to come back and be like, he's getting comfortable. I want to make sure I'm always on my toes.
I think it's also like the YouTube videos is like you're gonna get it down to a science the more you do it.
Right.
Like obviously the first one, I think it'd be kind of dumb if you thought if everything were to go perfect, because nothing the first time everything it never does go perfect.
Yeah.
You could relate that to anything, but the simple fact that you're gonna come back and I'm excited for this third one, man.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. Is it all you can eat tacos?
This one's gonna be so. It's not all you can eat. Last year, that was another L that we took.
Hey, this is good advice.
We learned big time because I didn't have any sponsors for the Taco Town. On my other runs, we get sponsors and stuff because there's a more cause base.
Yes.
There's still a cause because we actually donate a good portion of the funds to Family Promises San Joaquin, which helps out with like homelessness and stuff in the city. But on the surface, it just looks like tacos and beer, which, but we still donate the portion of the funds.
Yes.
So for the taco trucks that came out, I didn't have any sponsors. And so I asked them, I was like, are you guys willing to like do this for the free? Because, and everyone said, yeah, everyone was cool. But when I asked them to come out this year, they were like, I can't do that for free. We lost a lot of money and stuff. And I was like, I appreciate them being transparent, and I get it. Like if you can't come out and do like 100%. So this year I was like, okay, we got to accommodate like money in the budget for the taco trucks. And so everyone's like, hey, are there going to be like bottomless tacos or whatever? And I was just like, no.
One can dream.
Yeah, I know. But you will get one free taco from one of the trucks of your choice. And then to support the small businesses, if you can, no one gets one taco. So if you go to a truck and you want another taco, just pay for the second taco.
Oh, as long as I can pay and order, that's all I wanted to know.
Yeah, you can still get your stuff. You can still buy stuff, and like
because I'm a big guy, man. One taco.
Yeah, some people like I remember last time like they'd get one taco and they'd be like, "Can I get a quesadilla? I feel like that's not going to be enough for me." So yeah, you get that, and then Five Windows Beer Co. in Lodi. Mm-hmm. Have you ever been there?
Yes.
Their beer is going to be at the Talk of the Town. So
I'm there, man. Sold.
Yeah, the guys, they're great people, and I'm proud to have their beer at the event. So
you gotta put me in touch with them.
Hey, dude, Joe is a great guy. Like he is just great from the soul out. Great guy.
When this comes out, we should. You gotta put it. I think that'd be cool to have somebody from a brewery in here. I'm trying to get more Lodi people up in here.
Dude, let's do it. Like I'm sure he'd be down. Like he's just the only thing is he's just so busy because he's running a brewery all the time.
I get
but
it.
I'm sure he could squeeze some time in between like his kids.
If possible.
He's a good family man too. So
if possible, if not, no worries.
Yeah,
I'm just like a lot of people had me up like, hey, why don't you have no Lodi guys up in here? I'm like, I try. Everybody gets to leave me on red, and I'm like, wow, like it's all Stockton.
Yeah.
If you look at 75%, 80%, all Stockton people.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, but it is what it is. Shout out to 09.
What's that tell you, Lodi? What's that tell you?
How do you choose where to donate the money, or is it always that one organization?
So the way I get the organizations, I actually put out like a post on Facebook, and I say, hey, I'm doing my next event. Tell me some small businesses that you think should benefit from this event. And people just start, it's like 64 to 80 comments, just deep. People saying like this company. Sometimes I go off of like the most commented group.
Yes.
Other ones like I look at and I individually look at their like mission statements and like what they're doing and like how they allocate their funds. And then from there, I'm like, oh, that's cool. I personally am tied to like, because of my own situation, like homelessness is something I'm really passionate about because I feel like oftentimes people just fall into the trap of homelessness and then you're stuck and you don't know what to do to get out. Or like you didn't have like the life skills, like credit, and all that stuff. Makes you end up in a weird situation where like you can't afford to be in your living situation. So homelessness, I'm always the one that I'm tied to. The next one would be like anything kids related. And then like third would be just anything that gives back to the community in general.
I love that.
That's kind of like my process.
And I like how you get your community involved into like where the money goes and all that. So
right.
what that's really great, man. That's really great. So wrapping it up here, man, what plans do you have for the future? What goals do you want to accomplish by the end of the year? I know we have the run, but besides that, maybe for your YouTube channel, maybe even for your personal goals.
Right. I would say that it's a lot. I'm a very, very hard on myself sometimes. And so when I set my goals, there's a lot of different facets to how I set them. So personally, I want to make sure that I'm there for my kids. Like that, to me, I feel like there's times where I get home and like we're just so busy. I'm just so busy. Even when I'm with my kids, I feel busy, and I want to just be more like intentional with like my kids' time. So that my next goal is to just be intentional with my kids' time. As far as like a teacher, I want to do a better job realizing my students' weaknesses and figuring out ways to give them lessons that will like complement those weaknesses. So if it's something where you're not the strongest reader, I'll try to give you more things that are like video related to compensate for it, but still have the writing component, so that way you get stronger with your like reading.
Yes.
As a runner, I want to get faster and stop sleeping in because I just lately, man, I'm just so tired from everything else. Like when it comes time to wake up, like maybe just having David Goggins in my ear will help out. But I gotta start waking up, just doing runs more often because I've just been so busy. And then last, YouTube. Posting more often because believe it or not, I record a lot of content that just never gets released.
Is it lack of editing or just not good enough?
I critique myself sometimes. I'm like, this isn't good enough. There was one run that I did. It was called the Berkeley Adventure Trail, and it whooped my ass, dude. It was last year, the year before last, and it was crazy elevation. It was like 3,200 feet of elevation. It was crazy.
You're up there,
dude. You're just like going uphill the entire time, and then you got to go downhill, and like your toes are smashing.
Yeah.
It was terrible. And I recorded the whole thing, and I actually got really beautiful drone shots and like cinematic. It looked really good on camera.
Yes.
But I didn't like that it like made me look like a bitch. So I didn't post any of it, And that was a stupid mentality because it's a really good part of my journey. Yes. And because of that run, actually, I know where my threshold is as far as like, if I can do this, I can do that. And I never posted it. So sometimes it's my own criticism that stops me from posting stuff. Other times it's just time. And then other times it's an idea that I just never executed. So those are the three facets to why things don't get posted sometimes. People are like, oh, you should post more often. I'm just like, yeah, I know. So,
but I think like good. When did you hit 1,000, by the way? Because I was watching a video, said, hey, thank you guys, I just hit 4. Thank you guys, I hit 6. And
I didn't even make an announcement about it because I recorded a video about how I hit 1,000, and I was just like, this looks cheesy, and I didn't post it. I was like, I know, it's just so stupid.
But actually, you seem so excited on the build-up.
I was so excited, like we were almost there, and actually one of my students pointed out, they actually screenshotted and sent it to me, like, you hit 1,000. I was like, oh snap, did I hit 1,000? And then like once you hit 1,000, like YouTube messages you like this little gift that shows you like, oh, you hit 1,000, and I was like, tight, but immediately my head was like, I need to go higher than that, like I need to do more. And I never thought I would be that guy, but here I am, like just chasing a number, and I lost why I did the YouTube channel in the first place, which was to document like my running journey and to just have fun, like it was just a fun experience. It's not about all the partnerships and everything. That's complementary to everything I'm doing, but it's not about that. It's about what I'm doing and being in that moment and recording it. And if anyone wants to watch it, cool. So I got to get back to that. Stop worrying about what the comments are going to say or what people are going to say or like how I look in the video.
100%. And I think it's beautiful how you're documenting your journey, and you've documented it to this date, man. I'm really excited to see what the future holds and what other great things you're gonna do, man. You're a man for the community, bro. A hero in other people's eyes. Thank you so much for coming, bro. It was a pleasure having you, man. I really think the people are gonna enjoy this one.
Hey, for
as
sure,
much
man.
as I did. Can you please let them know where they can find you at?
For sure. What's going on, guys? It's Isaiah Stowers. Stowers does it all. You can find me on Instagram. Stowers does it all. Find me on YouTube. Stowers does it all. Find me on TikTok. Stowers does it all, I think. And if you want to check out any of the runs, shameless plug, there's the Talk of the Town coming up September 2nd. And if it hasn't passed already, August 12th is the Brain Health to Beat Stroke. And coming soon is the Santa Dash. You can find any
Santa
of those.
Dash for sure. You'll have you'll have a heads up for sure.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Fun fact, did I tell you about the failure of the Santa Dash?
No.
That was another one I didn't post. I don't know if we even have time.
No. Bring it in real quick.
That was probably the biggest L I've taken in the running. So, it's in December, right?
Yes.
This was last December. This was the rainiest day of 2022, and and I plan all these things months in advance. I don't know what the weather's going to be like. I just go off of it. There's this calculator online that'll tell you the annual history of that date in Stockton, and what are the chances that it's going to rain. And it said 7 to 13%. And I was like, okay, that's not too bad.
That's nothing.
I'll take that chance. I'll roll the dice on that one. That means that there's an 80 to 90 something % chance that it's not going to rain. So I was like, all right, whatever, let's do it. As the day kept getting closer and closer and closer and closer, the weather just kept shifting to colder and colder, rainier and rainier. And then it said that it was going to rain on that day. And I was like, we'll just run in the rain. We'll be fine. And then as we got closer, it said severe weather warning. It's going to be windy. It's going to be rainy. Stay inside. And I was just like...
And everything's sold and booked, right?
Yeah, everything's already sold. We already have, I think, 230 people sign up for the Santa Dash, right? And I was just like, what should I do? So I'm talking to my wife. I was like, should we postpone it? Should we cancel it? If I have to cancel it, I got to pay everybody back. But I've already donated some of the funds to...
the vendors?
The
organization?
The organization, which was Little Manila Rising. So I was like, I can't do that. Plus we've already spent a portion of the money for the medals and the shirts and everything. So postpone it. I was like, no. I was like, because if I postpone it to the next day, it could still rain that day. Yeah. Or if it rains the following weekend, then I'll just keep postponing. It just looks bad. Plus, I don't want someone to be going to I took off all this time to be here this day.
Requested the day.
I requested this day off. I flew in, all this stuff. And so now it's you're canceling on me. So I was like, we just got to do it. Show must go on. So we went there at the park. We started setting up at 4 a.m. It's already raining. And I had all these crazy the Santa Dash was going to be so elaborate. I had a station where there's going to be fake snow that the kids can play in. There's going to be fake snow falling everywhere. I had a snow machine ready. I had a company, Jackery, that I partnered with to make electric generators and everything. So that way everywhere there's power. I had electric speakers. I had Christmas lights. I had a 15 or 13 foot Christmas tree donated by Lowe's. All this stuff was going to be huge. All these things that I'm promising for the community. And I can't do any of it because it's raining. So I'm like, whatever, just put up the tree anyway. They're like, are you sure? I was like, put it up. So we started putting up the tree. The wind is blowing it over. I was like, zip tie it to the pole. So we zip tied it to the pole. It's still toppling over. I was like, all right, put out the inflatable ornaments, the huge ornaments that we had. Yes. We lost 3 of them. They blew away, and I was chasing it. I was running, and I could not catch them. That's how fast the wind was blowing. I look at the weather report. It says that the wind is 40 miles per hour, blowing diagonally. So I was like, there's that. The rain is just coming down. And I'm like, no one's going to show up, dude. I'm doing all of this stuff, and all the decorations are gone. It doesn't even look like there's a run happening here. I try to have music coming out, but they're you can't hear it because the wind is so loud. So surely enough, I see the first car pull up, and I was like, I'm going to have to tell this person to go home. And so they're like, hey, let's do it, rain or shine. And I was like, okay. I was like, I don't know who's coming, but, let's do it. And so surely enough, another person. Even though we had 230 something people show up or sign up, I think we had 117 people actually run.
Wow.
The mayor still came out. So
Kevin?
Yeah. I was like blown away that all the people still came. I still consider it like the hardest event I've ever had to do. And I was talking to my friend Garth, the one that like helped me organize everything. And he's like, don't consider it an L, man, because you decided to do this shit regardless of like all the outcomes that could have happened. You still did it. But I only consider it an L because I feel like all the promises that I made, I couldn't come through on those.
You didn't meet your personal expectations.
My personal expectations were not met.
But I think the people that came out still had a great time.
Right.
I wasn't there, but I'm speaking like the amount of like passion and like effort you put into these, man. That's beautiful, man. And I just gotta tell you, man, thank you for reaching out because with all respect, I didn't even hear about your events till I looked into you. And I'm like, tacos and running. And now, man, you're gonna have two. Me and my girlfriend, we're gonna be there to support and show love, man. So
cool, man.
we'll look forward to it, man.
For sure.
Once again, brother, thank you for coming so much. Please let the people know where they can find you.
Oh, for sure, man. Stowers does it all on Instagram, on YouTube, TikTok. And if you're trying to find the Taco the Town, that is Taco the Town. Taco as in the food. Taco the Town 10K. Brain Health 5K for the Brain Healthy Beach Stroke Run. And the Santa Dash is just the Santa Dash 10K? Stockton Santa Dash. I can't remember which one it is. It's been a minute. That was last December. I tried to erase that out of my brain.
Yeah, but it's gonna happen this December?
It's going to be happening again this December.
Awesome, man. Thank you for coming. All the blessings and best wishes to you in the world, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Much love. Valley Vibes Podcast. Mr. Stowers in the building. Episode 25, I believe.
Oh, it's 25. Hey.
But thank you, man. It was a great time.
For sure. Thanks for having me, man.
Later, Raza. Peace.